doesn't sound good. How's everyone doing? Excellent. Can you make it full screen? So I like to start with my own contact information because that makes it easiest. Anyone wants to reach out to me, anyone, I know a bunch of people here and most people will tell you I'm generally very, very prompt. If you send me an email while you're sitting down, by the time I get up, you'll get a response. Somehow I'll manage that too. You know, when Shraddha reached out, said that she wanted us to talk about how we've scaled the business, I thought, you know, what aspect of the business should we talk about? Should we talk about how we scaled the team? Should we talk about how we scaled supply chain, sales, margins, revenues? It was unclear. So I started thinking about that, you know, in our journey, what are the most important things that at least I've learned that if I were to become an entrepreneur again, that I would stand by those tenets at least. So can you start clicking? Maybe I'll just signal. So a brief background about myself. I'm Kunal, I'm 28, we're about 28, hold on. We're about a 28-year-old company, and I want to make it very, very clear, we are by no means successful. I think the jury is out on our industry, the jury is out on our business, and the jury is definitely out on us as entrepreneurs, and whether we build the right company or not. A lot of people perceive that we built a decent business. I would like to believe so too, but until a business reaches its logical conclusion, you don't really know. But there are a lot of fruits in the journey, and it's been a very fulfilling journey till now. I think we are maybe 2% of the way that we need to before we get to the finish line. Click. Okay, so today I just want to talk about like 7 very high-level broad things, and I'll run through them very quickly. If someone can just let me know how much time I have so that I'm not going on a monologue. Okay, fine. And then we'll leave enough time for Q&A in case you have questions, which hopefully you have. Okay, so today I'm just going to talk about 7 things that at least I've learned, and which are, I think, fairly practical things that I've learned also, and which may help you. Okay, first, number 1. So my single biggest learning actually has been never start a venture by yourself. The chances of failure increase considerably. I don't know many very successful companies that have done really well with one founder. Invariably what happens is you will start realizing that you have significant skill gaps. And I can tell you, I realized that I'm actually good at very few things. I think maybe a little bit of marketing here and there. I'm good at very few things, which is why you need an equally competent or much more competent co-founder. So my co-founder is Rohit, and very, very smart guy, IIT Delhi computer engineer. To me, he's the smartest guy that I've ever worked with or ever met. And I don't think we would have gotten even half this far if it weren't for him. So very, very critical on day one to have a guy you can trust, guy you can, debate with, fight with, but eventually come to a decision with that both of you believe in. I think I really can't emphasize, which is why it's point number 1. Okay, next. I think for any company, even right now, I was telling a few people, right after I get done with this, I'm meeting a few people here who have come here for recruiting, and then I fly to Bangalore on a 6 p.m. flight to do more recruiting. And then I'm back in Delhi to do more recruiting on Tuesday. So I think this never stops, but it's a great use of time. Also, most of my time I'm always thinking, how do I draft a tweet creatively so that people respond? So I spend quite a bit of time doing that too. And we've seen that at the end of the day, if the entrepreneurs are very, very out there and active in recruiting, you tend to attract excellent talent. You can't leave it to an HR manager or a recruiting executive to build your team. You have to spend time yourself. And more importantly, you actually get a lot of feedback about your business and about the overall space by meeting people who are external to your company. You also figure out what are people thinking about your company, what does your company stand for them in their minds. And that helps to position the message to your customers as well. Um, so I think our company is reasonably good at this stuff. Our view is that it is actually tremendously important to be shameless as an entrepreneur. If you're not going to be shameless, you're just going to do what everyone else is doing. We've done some really, really shameless things, and I can't really talk about all of them. Maybe too embarrassing. I thought I'll talk about one of them. I don't know how many of you know about this, but this is quite taboo, and I guess it's not anymore. Otherwise, more people would be laughing. But we sold condoms at 1 rupee on Valentine's Day this year, and I think I think we sold 1.5 lakh condoms in one day, right? There are a lot of people having fun. So the best part, actually, on a side note, the best part was there were customers who were so my email address is on the website, always has been since day one, and customers were writing into me. I was in the US that day. They were writing into me saying that, what nonsense is this? If I buy a condom today from your site, I'm going to get it 3 days later. So I was thinking, well, you could do it 3 days later. You don't have to only do it on Valentine's Day, right? You can do it today too. But you know, something like this, it creates a great ripple effect to build strong brand salience. You know, that day, Snapdeal was trending globally, top 10, just driven by the traffic or the social media traffic in India. So that goes to show how powerful sometimes thinking discontinuously can be, and being actually shameless. This could have swung either way. I'm not going to name some really, really high-profile advertising executive in the newspaper the next day in talking about this whole thing was, I think this is completely despicable. They are ruining the concept of Valentine's Day. It's supposed to be about love, not lust. And right below that, they interviewed a 21-year-old who said, I think it's amazing, right? which goes to show that many times conventional wisdom doesn't really matter. Just, you know, follow your heart, do what you think is right. Okay, next. I think one of the things which, because you know, we are a little over a 2-year-old company, and sometimes hard to stay focused on the culture, which is very, very critical. And something we spend, and people who know our business well will tell you that we spend a lot of time building out our culture. And it goes to, it's the same thing with recruiting. Because you spend so much time in recruiting, you at least have a more homogeneous DNA across the company. So start clicking fast. There are more. Okay. Yeah, so just keep clicking. So we do a lot of things in our company just to keep people motivated, keep people going. This is a fashion show, Qawwali show. No, yeah, next one. Qawwali show. Easter egg painting competition. I don't know why. I think most people didn't know what Easter was, but they were painting eggs, they were happy. Some made a bigger egg too. Go on. So, you know, the goal for you, whether you are a 5-person company or a 5,000-person company, I don't think a really large, successful business can be built without having a great culture. You may still not be successful, but one thing is for sure, if you don't have a strong, homogeneous culture, success will not come. Again, I'm saying, it's not like we are ridiculously successful ourselves. I think we are doing okay. But I would attribute a lot of that to the fact that we have a very, very strong culture, which we've consciously spent a lot of time on. And none of this, if you see, costed a lot of money, right? Doing a fashion show, I think the only money we spent was like that red carpet, which we rented out. Everything else, people got their own outfits. They used different outfits out of their cupboard and, you know, made a fool of themselves essentially, but it was good fun. And so to give you perspective, our monthly budget on our culture activities is 20,000 rupees for a 1,000-person company. And I think just from a metric standpoint, we measure, you know, satisfaction of our team members quite high. It's not a function of taking your team to Goa and treating them to 5-star food. It's really the small things that matter. Okay. I think one of the things that we've had to do as our space has evolved so rapidly is to be very objective and open to change. I've seen very limited value in being stubborn about being the X of India, whether it's being the Amazon of India or the Groupon of India or the eBay of India or XYZ. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you just have to build the right business for India. A business that works, business that scales, business that is sustainable. Nothing else really matters, and most people don't really care about anything else either. So focus on that is very critical. So I'll give you an example. I just put in like random screenshots of where we were 27 months ago and where we are today, and you'll see the drastic difference. Okay, click. So here suddenly it looks very different. This is 3 months into launch. Click. 6 months into launch. Maybe 15 months into launch. And suddenly we have carts. Then we have many more things. Then we have apparel. We have so now, and this is where we back. Okay. So, and none of this change would have happened unless we would have said, hey, what do consumers want? So about exactly a year ago, when we had done reasonably well in the local merchant space, local deal space, a lot of customers started writing into us saying, hey, I want to buy other things from you. And that seemed like a very weird concept to us, that we're a digital goods company. Why are people wanting physical products from us now? And I think the reason for that was because the mental map for consumers is not really clear as to what do they want from an e-commerce company. They just think, oh, do I trust them? Yes. Now do they have what I want or not? And because a lot of people started writing in, we could have either said, we don't really care about this. Let people say what they want to say. We're going to sell what we want to sell because we want to be the X of India. Or we could say, hey, let's listen to it. Let's at least test it out. Maybe it doesn't work. And it worked tremendously well, and it really put the business on a different trajectory thereafter. So just listening to what customers have to say, it sounds like a cliche, but it's actually very, very important. And not being stuck in like a particular model. It doesn't make sense. Okay, next. I think it's very important to break clutter when it comes to building a strong brand. I think one of the only ways to really create a brand that is discontinuous is to create a brand that participates in people's lives every day. So to this day, I actually get a lot of emails from customers who say that when they get to office, before they check Facebook, they check Snapdeal. And there may be 50 people like that. I'm not saying there are 50 million people like that. But that to me seems like something that is very, very powerful. And that has to be done by doing very discontinuous things along the way. For instance, I don't know how many of you know what happened about this time last year, almost exactly this date last year. There's a village outside Panipat where one of my marketing colleagues' wife comes from. She comes from a town near the village, but there's a cluster of 7 villages there, where they hadn't had access to clean drinking water for 47 years. So we just said, okay, we'll just put those manual hand pumps. And so I'd gone there to supervise that, and it costed us, I think, 3-4 lakh rupees to get about 20 hand pumps installed. And now the village had clean drinking water. Otherwise, they had to walk 2 kilometers every day. When I got there, the village elders had decided that in gratitude of what our company had done, they would rename the village snapdeal.com. Right? And this thing was covered. Thank you. This whole thing was covered by CNN, Time magazine. There were about 3 million tweets about this over a week's time. It was everywhere. We didn't plan it. It was not meant to be a marketing activity. We were not planning on talking about it, but people just started reaching out to us and talking about it. Even to this day, customers write in saying, XYZ feedback, by the way, I think you did a great job with that. And sometimes, the ripple effects of doing something good, positive, and clutter breaking never go away. Okay, next. In our view, service really, just talking very operationally, and this is something you have to keep working on as a company, and you're never good enough. There are many things that I know we need to fix also in our business, and that won't change 5 years from now when we are running the company. Service is really the only differentiation in the long run. And assortment isn't, technology is kind of, but service really matters. So I'll give you a quick case study of what happened. This is about September last year, and for all those who know the call center business, they would know what call abandon means. It's actually not rocket science. Basically, of 100 calls, how many calls are not get picked up, right? And people turn the phone off before they pick it up. And we were seeing, I should have been fired on 10th September. That's how bad we were doing. And so we said, hey, what do we do? The natural reaction would be, let's hire more agents, because there's more volume, so more agents means we'll be able to serve more calls. But that's really not the solution, right? So we looked at the data, click, just one. Yeah. So we did a simple analysis. We saw that 30% of the calls that we were getting were basically the same guy calling again and again. And because he was just impatient and frustrated. So we said, how can we make him wait a little longer without us having to threefold our call center operation? We didn't have the money to do that either. So what did we do? We actually went and created like a, play? We actually went and created a jingle. Is it playing? No. Play, play. Play, play, play. I can sing it also. La 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 la. So what started happening was that people were attentively listening to the jingle. Once you start listening to something, you're going to listen to it at least once. And by the time they finished listening to it, the agent was ready to service the call. Right? So just go back to the presentation. I think we're done. I think we'd had enough. So what happened after that? Just click. Within 10 days, the call abandon rates went from 40% to 1%. Right? So sometimes we spent, I think, 6,000 rupees with some independent band to create this jingle. With 6,000 rupees, we potentially saved tremendous amount of cost of maybe doubling or tripling call center capacity, and more importantly, significantly impacted the customer experience positively. So many times you have to find like very simple solutions to provide a better service, and that never, never, never ends. So yeah, okay. And finally, and most importantly, this is something we as a culture and as people in our company really strongly believe in, and everyone gets this. We do this talk every time someone new joins in our company, and we talk about the fact that irrespective of how hard you're working, it's very important to be nice, positive, happy person, and don't take startup success too seriously. Thank you, and my contact is again here if you need to reach me. That's it.